In today's video, we will talk all about the Bitcoin bottom line support for the bull market in order for the bull market uptrend to continue. Now, I know a lot of people have been stressed in the past couple of days when Bitcoin saw a local top right above that $44,000 level, but it has since come down a bit and touched briefly at 40K. And a lot of people are worried, is the bull run over? Is this the dip to buy? Is Bitcoin going to drop slightly lower? What are the potential entry opportunities if this is a dip to buy? Or in the other hand, if this is really anything to be concerned about, what is the bottom line that we're looking at? So that is the main topic that we'll get into today. I'll show you guys my bottom line support that I'm keeping an eye on all the time for Bitcoin in a very long term in order for the bull trend, the bull market to continue for the next year and a half to 2 years. And I'll also give you my short-term reload zone targets that I'm looking to buy not only Bitcoin, but also the most popular and strongest performing altcoins on this dip. So that's on the agenda today. If you're new here to the channel, welcome. My name is Dennis. I'm a crypto angel investor for the past 5 years, and I have invested in over 100 crypto companies. Here on this channel, I share my views on market trends and investing strategy to build wealth in crypto. Okay, so let's get into the charts, starting off with Bitcoin, of course. So I want to give you guys two perspectives. Number one is the short-term outlook, but also number two is a strategy that you can take away to follow the Bitcoin bull market even after this point on. So no matter which part of the market we are in, whether prices are much higher later on or not, you can always use the same strategy to help yourself identify if the bull market support is still intact. So the main support level that is very, very important to hold in a long term is simply the 200 daily moving average. So you can use the SMA or the EMA. It doesn't really matter. So in order to find these levels, what you can do is go on TradingView, go to the indicators, and type in moving average. Right, and you can choose either moving average exponential or moving average simple. Doesn't really matter. The exponential just catches up to the short-term price action a little bit faster, but usually the two moving averages are very close. And then what you need to do is on two time frames. The first one is to go to the daily time frame. Here you see each candle represents 1 day's price chart, and then you go to the EMA settings and choose 200 as the input. And then here you see this average level shows up as the blue line on the chart. I'm going to make it super bold. That's the one. And this is essentially the long-term bull market support level, right? So what happens and what this average means is that in a bull run, as long as Bitcoin's price continue to stay above this level and not close below it for too long. Instead, every time that it touches it, it either wicks below it very slightly, or it just kind of hangs around this level, but is able to bounce from it without closing much below it. So this is usually the support level. And very similarly, if you don't want to use the daily level, you can also use a weekly exponential moving average. In that case, you will go to the weekly time frame, and then change the EMA setting to be 21 weeks. And this, you see, also gives you a very similar chart here. Depending on which one you prefer to look at, on the daily time frame, the wicks will be a little bit more obvious. Whereas on the weekly time frame, you can count the weekly candle closes, and you can observe, you can monitor them, for example, here. When the candle wicked below this 21 weekly EMA, right? This first wick here, but the week after it bounced from it. So you can use this kind of a strategy to say, okay, the candle hasn't closed below the 21 weekly EMA, and thus the bull run continues, right? And you are feeling very confident. So this is one difference between the 21 weekly exponential moving average and the 200 daily exponential moving average. But most of the time, these two average levels work exactly the same way in every bull market. So we can observe this in the previous bull run. So as you can see, in the 2021 bull run, right, when price first broke above the 200 daily EMA here, it stayed above it and started to bounce from it. Every time that it came close to it, it didn't go below there. You see, and eventually that led to the parabolic run. And similarly, in the bear market, also this level acts as significant resistance. So you see why there was a range in May to June 2021 when market was looking honestly very shaky, and this was a period of, you could say, mini bear before price finally broke above here, and you see it started to bounce from this level again twice, which led to another second run up. Then after November 2021, price dropped below this level finally and closed below it, and you see every time that it tried to get back above this level, it failed to break above it, and thus this led to a much longer bear market. So this is the main level that we need to hold above. And you see this average level right now sits at $31,400, right? So if Bitcoin is to make a very, very dramatic drop today, all the way till $31,000, as long as it holds here, it would still be okay, right? Obviously, that's highly, highly unlikely. But this just goes to show you that we are still very far away from the bull market being under any kind of serious question, right? So this is the key level, long-term level that you need to watch, that I have been watching not only for this bull run, but also in 2021 and also way back in 2018, 2019 as well, in that bear market. I was closely watching this level back then. You see right around this range, right? So when, see here, broke above this level and this kicked off a mini bull in 2019, then it was trading kind of in a weird range around here, when after that it finally broke above, and then this eventually started the bull run. So this level is by far the most important level you can watch for a long-term bull market to continue. Okay, so last little bit I want to say about this EMA level is that this 31,400 is not a absolute level, right? Because you see this average line, it trends up as price trades higher than this average line. So as time goes on, over the next few weeks to a couple months, this level will continue to trend up, right? Slowly but surely, because the current price is higher than this average level, which means this average level takes every new day and every new candle that comes in, this average level is going to increase. So that's why this bull market support level will also slowly trend up. So by the time, let's say we're in the new year, this level might be already at 33,000 perhaps. And that's why I say the immediate short-term support that Bitcoin must hold above is around 31,400. But it's highly unlikely to go there. Okay, now that's the long-term, super long-term support, which tells me, okay, we are still very good. Bull run is still very much intact. There's nothing to worry about in a very long-term perspective. However, in the short term, where is Bitcoin looking the most likely to be dipping to? And at which level do I think Bitcoin is at a really good buy again? For me, that level, that range sits at between 36,000 and around 38,500. That's this ideal reload zone that you have on the chart here. So a couple reasons I have for this. Number one is the liquidation level that we have been tracking on most of the Bitcoin live streams, right? So a couple things to note here. So you see how on the upside, the liquidation ranges are actually very far away still. So in order for the shorts to be liquidated, Bitcoin needs to pump all the way back up to around 45K. That's honestly kind of hard in the very short term, which means I think the lower side liquidity here is much more likely to be hit. So you see the immediate short-term liquidity range we have is right below 40,000, right? So right here, you see a little bit of a liquidation range that will be triggered. So there's about $350 million of Bitcoin longs that will be hit and will be potentially forced to be liquidated once Bitcoin just touches 40K again. So I think this is highly likely to be tested at least once. Now, when this happens, what happens is because the liquidation cascade will start, price will wick a little bit lower, right? And then when you look at the next levels after that, that is right at 38,000. And then I believe this is like 37,500 range, right? So you see 38,100 and 37,400. So totaling, there's about $700 million of Bitcoin to be liquidated at these two levels. So usually what happens is when there are clear liquidation levels where people have taken on very aggressive bets, the market makers are very likely to hit these levels before making the price revert in order to take advantage of their liquidity and get cheap entries into Bitcoin. Because we know this is the period to accumulate, and this is what market makers, what they need to do in order to accumulate larger positions as well. So that's why I think 38,100 to around 37,400, these levels will be very, very good targets if I were a large market maker. Okay, so that's on liquidation levels. And you see this also matches the pure price action as well, right? Because when you consider where Bitcoin was trading just 2 weeks ago, right? This range was all the price level that everyone was talking about in the entire month of November, right? So between 35,000 to around 38,000, that had the longest price history in the past month. Everyone was wondering, okay, is this range going to break? Which way is it going to break? So because there was such high amounts of consolidation there, the next time price dips to this level, it's highly likely to get a bounce reaction, right? Because the psychology goes that a lot of people missed out in their potential entry when Bitcoin made this first move up. And that's why the next time Bitcoin comes down into this range, there will be significant support. So all in all, this is my target for Bitcoin. I think as long as Bitcoin can hit around this 38,500 level, I'm going to start buying. I'm not targeting necessarily much lower in this level. Don't want to be too greedy. I think 38,500, I would be very happy with that already. Because this is really building up to the long-term position, and all the fundamentals for Bitcoin is looking really strong, as we have covered time and time again. It's really just looking like a short-term re-entry opportunity because of the leverage, not necessarily leverage, but the short-term hype is getting a little bit overextended. Okay, so that's on Bitcoin. Now, let's see. Want to give you guys a couple more fundamental developments coming from the Bitcoin ecosystem this week as well. So I do want to give a quick shout out to our partner research firm, M6 Labs. This is a team that I've been working with for more than 3 years now. So these guys do amazing research, and they publish a weekly deep dive on the Bitcoin ecosystem from things like price action, liquidation, how much inflow, outflow from institutions, which institutions have been buying, for example, Michael Saylor's, MicroStrategy, or other mining firms, and nations adopting Bitcoin, for example. And then even the more detailed niche communities within Bitcoin, such as the Bitcoin Ordinals, BRC-20 tokens, and even SRC-20 tokens, which we'll talk about, which is actually much more alpha opportunity there. So you can find all of that in their newsletter every week, M6 Labs Bitcoin Weekly. So, okay, I'm just going to refer to them in today's episode as well. I'll show you a brief overlook here. So this is completely free. You can just subscribe to it or just read from it from your email every week. So a couple very important things that I found this week. Number one is that the inflow for Bitcoin and for crypto overall is still growing. And in fact, it has been the strongest in this entire year. So you see, this is the past year of Bitcoin inflows and outflows, crypto inflows and outflows. And you see for the past 6 weeks or so, the inflow of net assets coming from essentially cash going into crypto has been higher than ever for the past year, right? First month of the year was very, very weird, and then a little bit of inflow in summer as well. But you see majority of the year has been relatively quiet until just about 6 weeks ago, when really people started to pour in real money into crypto again. So this is very significant. Now, one more thing that was mentioned here was that two things. So the institutional adoption is also looking really clear. Now, we know that the Bitcoin ETFs, the Bitcoin spot ETFs, are very likely to be approved by January 10th. This has been my stance. I give you guys 90% chance that this will be approved in my prediction as well. And when you look at real money inflow coming from institutions, that's also very clear, because you see this week, the world's largest Bitcoin futures ETF, ProShares BITO, reached a record high of $1.47 billion in AUM. This surge indicates growing institutional interest in Bitcoin as various spot ETF applications are filed in the US. Now, the only buyers of this futures ETF is really Wall Street, right? It's US institutional investors. They have to use an instrument like this, even given all of its downsides like fees, and you don't have real exposure to spot Bitcoin, etc. But they still buy this because it's one of the only few regulated products in the US for Bitcoin. So you see, this has hit record highs. In fact, the amount of interest in this Bitcoin futures fund exceeded 2021's bull market levels already. So this is clearly putting into perspective the numbers of institutional adoption coming in is growing very aggressively. And one more, obviously, we have MicroStrategy, which has also announced another purchase of $600 million worth of Bitcoin in November and have increased their holdings by another 10%. So MicroStrategy, another Chad, I think he's one of the top 10 biggest holders in Bitcoin now in the entire world. So he's really, really positioning MicroStrategy as that Bitcoin company now. So those are two things that are exciting, and some stats as well. And I want to give you guys a little bit of perspective on the charts as well. So M6 Labs newsletter guys also have a weekly outlook on Bitcoin's chart. So you see Bitcoin's monthly close also resembles that of pre-halving years in this pre-halving year in 2023 compared to the last pre-halving year in 2019, 2020, and also with 2016 as well. So you see here, we recently hit 42K for Bitcoin. And very interesting fact is that usually before the pre-halving year, Bitcoin reaches that 0.5 Fibonacci extension level before typically retracing to about 0.618% or 61.8% Fibonacci retracement level. So this sounds kind of weird all in all with just pure numbers, but I'll show you what this means on the chart in a bit. So let me give you quick shout out to the analyst behind this chart as well, Kairos Trading. You guys should go follow him on Twitter. So he posts daily analysis on Bitcoin as well. So you see what this chart tells us is that here we have the 2016 pre-halving year. So you see in the pre-halving year, Bitcoin pumped and touched right at the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement level before coming back down to test and wick below the 0.382 Fibonacci retracement level. And you see very similarly on today's chart, the 0.5 Fibonacci level, if you map it from the previous all-time high to this bear market's all-time low, that gives us the 0.5 or 50% retracement at $43,000, which Bitcoin just hit. And then, assuming we have a similar fractal to the last two pre-halving years, then the pre-halving dip could potentially reach 0.382 Fibonacci retracement. So that target gives us a target of 36K. Now, let's see this on the chart if you want to see this by yourself. All you have to do is go to relatively longer time frame. For example, on the daily time frame. Let me just remove these things here. Okay, daily time frame. And then you take a Fibonacci retracement tool right here. And then you take the previous all-time high, measure it towards the bear market all-time low. And you see this gives us the 0.5% or 0.5 retracement level or 50% retracement level right at 42,600, right? Which Bitcoin just wick above. Then when you look at the 0.382 retracement level, that sits right around the lower half of our reload zone at 36,000, right? So I like this analysis as well. Typically, you know, Fibonacci retracement is less so about what the exact support and resistance levels are, but more so how much the price has extended in this short-term rally, and thus what are the next typical levels that people would like to buy in at if you gave a rough kind of psychological level that people are comfortable to get in again. That's where these 0.5 and 0.382 levels come from. So you see, assuming Bitcoin can hit our liquidation levels between 38,100 and 37,400, it would wick a little bit lower, right, than this level, because these levels have hard liquidations, so the price has to trigger a little bit below it, which means I think that wick could very well hit something like 36,000. So yeah, this is another good sign that I see other analysts agreeing with what I see on the chart as well, giving this range between 36,000 and 38,000 as the ideal reload zone for Bitcoin. Okay, again, big shout out to M6 Labs for being a partner of the channel. They're not sponsoring or anything, but they just give me free research for Bitcoin every week that I can cover, and I really like reading their stuff, so I just I feature them, and also I've been working with them since forever. Okay, so that's that, and then one last sector that's very interesting to watch in Bitcoin is the Bitcoin Ordinals ecosystem. So you guys must have heard of Ordinals or BRC-20 tokens, etc., etc. Now these assets and these token standards ecosystem have been completely exploding in price in the past month. So when you look at Ordi, this is the main protocol token of the Bitcoin Ordinals ecosystem. This coin has pumped from $5 in just 40 days ago all the way up to $50, $60. This is absolutely insane, right? And also some of the other, you know, trending coins in the Ordinals ecosystem, for example, Sats. This is another top BRC-20 token. This has also pumped from, what is this? We can check out market cap maybe. Nope, I don't even know. I cannot even gauge how many zeros that is, but it pumped a ton, right? And this has already reached $1 billion market cap as well. Now, full disclosure, right? I don't have any of these BRC-20 tokens now because they are very late, right? After pumping 12x in just 40 days, it's very safe to say these are very, very overextended. However, something interesting to note, and I think is potentially alpha, is coming from the Ordinals ecosystem and how they have a kind of a conflict going on between the Ordinals and BRC-20 ecosystem versus the Bitcoin core community. So you see this week, M6 Labs has covered this inscription drama. So essentially one of the core developers behind Bitcoin Core called Luke Dashjur, he explained that the Bitcoin inscriptions that enables ordinal NFTs and BRC-20 tokens is kind of a soft bug that has been like exploiting quote unquote vulnerability in Bitcoin Core's code in order to make this protocol function. And he suggested that they could potentially do a hard fork or even soft fork to patch this. I don't know if it's a full hard fork needed, but there's that kind of possibility that was raised where all these BRC-20 tokens could be erased if they change this code. Now, I'm not technical enough in the Bitcoin ecosystem to explain this fully, but this is just something very layman's term context we can take away. Now, one very interesting development coming from the Ordinals ecosystem is this new standard called stamps or SRC20s. So I have a, you guys should go Google SRC20 token for Bitcoin. Basically, coming from this BRC20 kind of FUD with the Bitcoin core community, there's this new standard called the Bitcoin stamps, which is very similar to BRC20. You can issue tokens using Bitcoin blockchain. But what's different about SRC20s is that SRC20 tokens cannot be pruned versus BRC20 tokens. So you see BRC20 tokens, they can be pruned or destroyed by the nodes by removing what's called the witness data. Whereas the SRC20 tokens, they're actually real data that stays on the UTXO set or the core Bitcoin transaction history. So this is why these cannot be destroyed, even if they choose to patch this witness data so-called vulnerability. So this is one very interesting ecosystem that's popping up. Now, you cannot really get into this SRC20 token standard very easily yet. There is one main token called the stamp. So the main protocol website for this is called Stamp Chain, right? So when you Google Stamp Chain or SRC20, you will see this. Now, if you're not technical enough, if you don't have a Unisat wallet or one of the advanced Bitcoin DeFi wallets, you would not be able to buy this. But this is just something that for those people that are in the Ordinals ecosystem, I think this has a lot of potential because it's taking advantage of this FUD and actually creating something that's much more meaningful. And here is kind of a comparison that's been trending, going viral a little bit as well. So you see BRC20 data is stored in a witness data, which may be erased after a Bitcoin hard fork, versus on SRC20 or stamps. This data is stored in the spendable data transactions and cannot be erased. Very simple. So this is one area that I think does have a lot of alpha. Maybe deep dive later on. Again, this ecosystem is still kind of small. That's why I'm not going to show you let's set this up today and let's go buy it, because, for all intents and purposes, this may never get listed on large exchanges. Don't really know, but technology perspective, this is something that's cool coming out of the Bitcoin DeFi ecosystem. Okay. If you guys want me to do a deep dive, leave a comment below or send something in the chat and subscribe to the channel. Then I might do a deep dive on this if it becomes more legit. Okay, that's it. And that's it for the Bitcoin side. Again, for all of the Bitcoin stuff every week, make sure to follow M6 Labs on Twitter. And you can Google M6 Labs or Crypto Pragmatist, and you can find their links down in the description as well. All free newsletter. Okay. Now, moving on from the Bitcoin ecosystem, assuming Bitcoin hits this reload zone between $36,000 and $38,500, what are the top altcoins that would be in a good dip buying opportunity when that happens? Obviously, you guys know the top altcoins I've been watching: Solana, AVAX, Matic, Chainlink, XRP. That's about it, right? So I have posted these trades actually in our Discord already. Have been planning these trades since 2 days ago. So actually, you see here, 2 days ago, closed all of our altcoin positions that were in profit and waiting for this potential dip once Bitcoin has a new flush down towards that $39,000 level, if that happens. So you see, I placed a couple buying opportunity setups here for Ethereum, for Solana, for AVAX ecosystem, and for Link, XRP, and also something interesting is Cardano. So let's go over them. So first one here is Solana. So this is what I posted in our Discord yesterday. So Solana really still one of the top trending coins, right? And that's why I don't want to be too aggressive on the re-entry range. And that's why I'm targeting this higher part of the range instead of these much lower supports. So my entry range ideally is between $61.40 and around $66. So if I can get an average entry around $63, if Bitcoin drops a little bit more, that would be very ideal, right? So I would ladder my buy orders in this range, right? Then I would place a stop loss, something at like $56 below these previous lows here. That's on Solana. Now, full disclosure, Solana, one of the strongest altcoins that have been leading this entire run. I think Solana itself should be able to extend it to these higher ranges. You guys know my stance. I think Solana should be able to hit around $100 in this like early stage of the bull market. But the Solana ecosystem, when it comes to things like Pith, Jito, Bonk, the meme coin that's already hit $1 billion, I think those are quite overvalued now. So I'm not touching Solana ecosystem anymore. Instead, just purely focusing on buying Solana on this dip if it comes. Okay, that's on Solana. And then AVAX, obviously everyone's favorite topic this week. Now, I think AVAX is very, very difficult to get in now because this rally has been pretty crazy, right? Has been just going straight up. And even when Bitcoin has had this correction, yesterday, AVAX managed to pull a higher high here, right? So Bitcoin started to correct right around here when AVAX was trading around $37. But then AVAX made a new high, peaked at $43. So all in all, AVAX very strong. However, it's very difficult to get an entry now. I would ideally like to buy something between $23 and $27. But again, based on how strong this rally has been, that will be a bit hard to target in this short-term correction. Even if Bitcoin drops to like 38K, I don't know if we can for sure say AVAX can hit like 24. That's kind of a stretch. So that's why I'm not buying AVAX itself. Instead, I'm looking to get into AVAX ecosystem altcoins. And I think there's still quite a bit of opportunities there. Now, we have covered some of the top AVAX ecosystem coins before. You can check it out on our channel just by going to one of our live streams. Actually, pretty recent. So when you look at this one, right, and even this one. So these two videos I've both covered the top ecosystem altcoins. For example, Trader Joe, Banky Finance, which are the leading decentralized exchange and the liquid staking protocol. We also covered some of the top gaming cryptos on AVAX. For example, Beam, the AVAX subnet that's building a gaming chain, as well as the other one called Shrapnel, one of the top games in our top picks for crypto gaming. These are all in the AVAX ecosystem, so they're on the same hype wave as well. Now, I am planning to make a AVAX ecosystem like gem pick list. Look out for that. I'm going to drop that very soon. I might even drop a kind of shorter live stream later today or maybe early tomorrow. So subscribe to the channel to not miss that. So that's my stance on AVAX right now. I think if you're looking into the AVAX ecosystem, you got to dig a little bit deeper instead of following and chasing this very aggressive rally. I would dig a little bit deeper in the lower cap coins on AVAX and find the strong projects that are closely related to all the AVAX ecosystem developments, but still haven't popped up yet. So subscribe to the channel, stay tuned. I'll give you guys an update on AVAX ecosystem really soon. Okay, that's on AVAX. And just a couple more. So straight up cheap altcoin setups that I have already started to enter. So there are two that we have covered in Discord yesterday. So number one is Link. Yes. So for Chainlink, honestly, it's already looking very cheap, right? So I have started to enter Chainlink long position between 14.5 to all the way around $13. So basically, if I can get an average entry in this range with average entry price, let's say just below $14, I'll be very happy, right? Because Chainlink has been one of the strongest coins in this first half of the rally in November, but has been ranging, right? So I don't think this is the end of the Chainlink run. All the limelight has been taken by layer ones like Solana, AVAX. So I think this one will catch up quite soon. It's just a matter of time. And when considering the stop loss levels that we have, by entering with an average level, let's say at 13.7, 13.8, I have a very clear stop loss below this previous low here at 12.9. So if I place a stop loss something at like 12.6, 12.5, that's a very minimal loss here that I'm protected with. So overall, very good setup, both for timing and for the risk to reward ratio. Another one that I am already starting to take a long position in is actually XRP. So XRP has been definitely under the radar for this past month. After their initial lawsuit settlement with the SEC, that triggered this first rally. But you see, in this whole run in November, second half of November, they haven't really caught on. However, one major update that's coming for XRP is dropping quite soon. So when you, if you're in our Discord, you would have caught this before when we covered it last month. So basically, XRP versus SEC settlement was supposed to have a final settlement announcement on November 9th, but this got pushed back another 45 to 60 days. So this means the final settlement between SEC and the XRP lawsuit will be between December 23rd to around January 10th or so. So that is just in 10 days, 11 days from now, we should see more hype as the XRP community is going to bring this up again, and SEC might even tweet about this, the announcement news will come. So this is why this should lead to another wave of hype for XRP, and I'm essentially trying to front run this. So this is the catalyst event coming for XRP. And in terms of price action, I have also been trading XRP and following the chart for a while. So you can see on, this was our first rally that we caught, I want to say 2.5 weeks ago, right? When we caught this inverse head and shoulders here with an average entry right around that 59 cents range. And now you see price made a first run up, but was quickly slapped back down, and it's very close to our initial entry again. So this is why I am buying XRP again, going for a long position just right below 60 cents, right? If I can get an average entry between 59 cents and 60 cents, I'll be very happy because I have a very clear stop loss again, right below this previous low at 57 cents, right? So that's a very small loss potential here, but much higher upside. So both the risk to reward ratio and the catalyst event in terms of the timing match up. This is why it makes a good trade for me for this XRP long. Okay, let's see what else is there. Another one that I am watching but haven't entered yet is Matic. So Matic, I want to ideally get an entry. Have I covered this? Haven't yet. So Matic, I will ideally want to get an entry around that 79 cents level. So this was our initial entry when it first had this consolidation before the first rally up. So haven't entered into Matic yet, but will really want to get into this if we can come back down here. Right, so we will see. This is another one I'm watching. Okay, and what else? 3 more. So another one that I have actually missed completely, I don't know how this completely ran away from me, is Injective. Now, Injective, honestly, love-hate relationship, because in our Discord, we have covered Injective. You see, Injective was the only position that I have kept open as our long in November, right? When Bitcoin first had its correction, I closed every other long except for Injective because Injective was really inching towards that long breakout, you see, and it was just inching towards that $18 level, but just barely about to break it. So I was just waiting and waiting and waiting for the breakout to come. But this is, it's something that I'm just kind of sad about, and I just want to talk to you guys about it because you see here, this was doing well right around that $18 level. I thought it would break, but it didn't break. It came all the way back down to 16 again. So eventually, I closed, right? Waited another 2 weeks, but then had to close because you see this level rejected again, while every other altcoin, Solana, AVAX, Matic, even Arbitrum, Ethereum, they were all running while Injective just barely did anything. So another lesson learned here, because right after we close our long between entry at 16.8, exit at 17.6, now it popped, right? Boom, all the way, popped all the way to $27. So I don't know how I missed this one, to be honest. I guess the patience kind of just wears out sometimes. Yeah, it is what it is. So this is kind of two things to learn. Number one is that these breakout trades usually in this market condition does work, right? So when you first have a clear confirmed breakout, price really does start to run very aggressively. And especially when it's close to the previous all-time high. So you see for Injective here, it did make a new all-time high already. You see on the weekly time frame, the previous all-time high candle closed at 19.8. So once this new weekly candle closed above 19.8, it started to aggressively pump very quickly. So the price discovery type of trade for breakout trade does work in a bull market. So that's something I'm not going to ignore, and maybe, just gotta have even more patience. Even after waiting 20 days, just wait another 10 days. Maybe that's what it is. So this is another example that just wanted to briefly mention. Okay, that's it for Injective. And then last two things I want to talk about. So after Solana and AVAX as the top two ecosystem rotations for on-chain traders, for DeFi, for airdrop farming, etc., I think there are maybe two other ecosystems that could be potentially next. So they are, first one, I would say Arbitrum. Pretty high chance for this to pop because two things. Number one is that their incentive program is just being released now, and EIP 4844 is about to go live in the first month or so in 2024. And Arbitrum has a major token unlock coming in March 2024, which means they need to mark up the price, drive the price up in order for them to exit. Now, you might say, oh, how can they do this? How can you buy a coin before their token unlock happens? Well, as long as you know when the unlock happens, this usually you can front run that pre-unlock rally as well. So that's why I think if there's any significant marketing coming up for Arbitrum, they will have to do so quite soon before March comes and they have to take profit. So as long as we can front run that news and get in this position and try to exit in February before March, that could be a next rotation that I can see happening. There are a lot of catalyst events that are brewing in the background that might be dropping quite soon. Another one that has a very similar setup is actually Mantle network. So this one, this is the BitDAO project that was rebranded to Mantle. They have a layer 2 now, and they have a LSD protocol that actually has some major updates coming up. I notified our Discord about this in our alpha chat yesterday as well. I picked up a Mantle bag for a medium-term trade. You guys, if you're in the VIP Discord, you would know about this already. But all in all, I think these are the two ecosystems that could be next to pop after the Solana to AVAX rotation. So after AVAX even has its run, I think these two are very likely to be next. So stay tuned for these, and when the timing is right, I'm going to make ecosystem deep dives on these as well. Talked about this in our Discord yesterday as well. Basically, Cardano finally broke out, right? So Cardano here, after this very, very long-term downtrend since the bear market started in November 2021, it has just been continuously going down, right? Lower highs and lower lows until that 44 cents level broke. Then finally, you see here, double bottom, clear breakout, and now first resistance at 60 cents was hit. But I think we are likely to revisit that 44 cent level for a breakout retest type of trade. So this is why this is the main setup I'm looking at. Very long term though. This is, remember, this is a 3-day to weekly chart. So I don't expect this to play out right away. But very good sign to see for Cardano. Finally, it broke out of its bear market downtrend and the uptrend is starting back up again. So this is one trade I'm watching for Cardano. If we can come back down to that 44, 45 cent range, I would like to pick up a Cardano long position. When in doubt, just zoom out and consider what the exit strategy for long term is, and look at that long-term support range for Bitcoin, which is the 21 weekly EMA and 200 daily EMA, which currently sits at 31,400. As long as that holds, there's really nothing you should worry about. So we're really, really far away from that still, which means as long as you're controlling your risk and you're not being too stressed with, high leverage positions, this really should be treated as a dip. And the strongest performing altcoins, they are all in good buying opportunities right now. Okay, that's it. Thank you guys for joining, and make sure to follow me on Twitter or X at virtualbacon0x. This is where I drop all my in-depth quick alpha before I make these in-depth videos and live streams. And last but not least, subscribe to the channel and join our Discord with the link in the description, discord.gg/virtualbacon, for our free VIP program with my own analysis, alpha, catalyst events, trade setups, Bitcoin, trend analysis, whether the uptrend is still there or not, and whole discussion community as well. Okay, that's it. Thank you guys for joining, and I will see you in the next video and the next live stream. Cheers. Bye-bye.